Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, My Parents Told Me That They Would Fully Disown Me If I Continued OnlyFans. Instead of deleting it like they requested, I just changed the username, but now it's taking a massive toll on my mental health. And a shout to Ben for sending this story. And guys, this story, like the title says, is about a gal who is singing the blues because her parents caught her on OnlyFans in the most embarrassing way. How they found out about this whole thing. And pretty much her parents, particularly her mom, says, you either cut this crap out or we're disowning you, cutting her off completely. And of course, this gal, being a young woman and being of that generation, feels like her whole life is imploding and her parents are big meanies for doing so. And that'd be a great one to go over here for two big reasons. One, as a round of applause for the parents for actually being good parents upon finding out the situation here. In my opinion, all parents should do this, finding out their kids were doing this. And number two, an example of not only how young gals behave in the little sense of entitlement, but also the generation. Oh, boo-hoo, the world's against me because I don't want to do OnlyFans. I think all parents out there, guys, that if you're a parent watching this and you've attempted your best to raise your daughter well and you've provided her with things and she's off in college or something trying to, pursue something that's actually worth for a career and all that, if she doesn't want to, get married real young, because there are plenty out there, let's be honest, and you find out that she's doing that even though you thought you raised her well and you provided her with things, she didn't need the money, I would absolutely disown them, or at least tell them, you cut that shit, you get one shot. Because this is why we have the world we do right now. Because I think all these lenient parents out there that instead of disciplining their kids decide to be their kid's best friend, and God forbid didn't want to have the kid mad at them, and there you go. And it's just an absolute mess. And it's going to be hilarious when I go over this, the whining and complaining. But also, the parents have been very generous with her, helping her during school and all that. Nope. They're the big bad guy here. So kick back, you're going to enjoy this whining and complaining. So it starts off, she says, oh boy, this is going to be a long one. I'm also a few drinks in and tend to talk in full detail when I'm tipsy. So I guess apologies in advance. Also, trigger advice in advance, alcoholism. Anyway, as the title says, my parents said they will disown me for the rest of my life if I continued OnlyFans. Bravo, Mom and Dad, bravo. I kind of want to unpack that in all the details so you know the whole situation. What's there to know? You're young, you're on OnlyFans, and your parents are so wholeheartedly disappointed in you. What else is there to know? You're an idiot. So please bear with me as this is a long ride. Again, I said a few drinks make me go into full detail. I think the easiest way to go through all this is to go into chronological order, and by doing that, I have to start at the time before they found out, which would be why I didn't tell them right away. Well, she really does ramble here because she's drunk, and she's also a girl, and girls talk a lot, so I skipped a lot of bullshit here and got to the main things. The short version of the story, I knew they would disapprove. The long story, I was afraid of telling them. I knew they wouldn't like it. I knew they were quite conservative, and I've heard their opinions on other parts of life, either mine or other people's lives. That made me realize this is something they definitely would not approve of. And yet you did it anyway. Even though your parents are great to you, helping you financially and all that. They're very much the kind of people that think that taking a regular job that you very much dislike is much better than taking an irregular job that you do like. She's calling being butt naked on the internet and OnlyFans from that is a good irregular job to have. One picture is all it takes, guys, out there to just torpedo your lives in terms of future job prospects, boyfriends, husbands, all that. Oh, and by the way, guys, I got to mention this real quick here. This girl here, so when I saw when this was sent to me and I clicked on everything, I looked to see if there were updates. There wasn't. But I did see links to who she is, and obviously she uses Reddit to advertise her parts to get OnlyFans. And so, of course, I have to know, holy crap, she's a big girl. And no amount of money can make me, you could pay, well, no, that's not true. You could pay me a lot of money to go on OnlyFans to see her, but you don't want to see this girl naked. I'm telling you now. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, fair enough. There are guys out there like very big girls, very, very, very big girls, But that's not me. And holy crap. Anyhow, my parents care a lot what society thinks about them and also what society thinks about their family. Way too much, in my opinion. Well, you're young, and of course, being young, you think you know everything. Your parents don't want their daughter flashing her parts on the internet. It's a huge embarrassment. Who can blame them? But you know everything. That was a long rant, and I haven't gotten to the part about my parents finding out, and I'm sorry, we are now getting to that part right now. She says, my mum tried to call me just before midnight on the 8th of September. This is obviously in the past. Since I did not know what the call was about, I called back. My heart, my throat, my body was thinking, oh, something terrible happened to a family member, or something along those lines. Otherwise, why would she call me at midnight? Instead, I was greeted by a, so your dad just got a message from his best friend, and he sent him your OnlyFans link. My heart panicked, and I can still feel the panic more than a week later. Imagine being a parent, your father, and your friend sends you a link saying, you gotta see this, I'm sorry to share this with you, and it's your daughter on OnlyFans. And as a parent, you're thinking, where the hell did I go wrong? I thought I was taking care of her, raising her well. Massive embarrassment. Because, let's be honest, nobody can keep a secret, so it's going to spread like wildfire. I said something along the lines of, it's midnight, can we discuss this later? And when she started angrily shouting at me, I hung up on her. I saw she started typing a message to me, so I blocked her. I blocked my dad, and I left the family group chat. I was so afraid. She's a young gal, and they are actually supporting her financially on her rent, her school, her food, which you'll find out in a few minutes. That is not how you treat your parents. They have every right to read her the riot act, as any parent would. I'd be over at her apartment, bum, 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 knocking on that door if she hung up with me. The next day, I unblocked her and tried talking to her and eventually called her. A lot happened, and seeing how long this post already is, I'm going to summarize it. Long story short, she started shouting, not talking to me, but shouting at me about how incredibly embarrassing it was for her, the way that she found out, that I was lying to her about all this, which I told her was not true. I just decided not to tell her since I only started about 3 weeks ago. Girl logic, hoe logic. I didn't lie to you, I just didn't tell you. And that I should absolutely delete everything of the internet because if I didn't, she would cut contact with me forever. There you go. I have no problem with this. At least this girl's getting a chance. I'm telling you right now, guys, I am not a parent, but if I was a parent and had daughters, because we know that if in a parallel universe, if I did have kids, God would have fun with me by making me have daughters, given what I do. And if I raised them in a certain way, which I would, multiple fronts, number one, I'd make sure they knew early on, this type of behavior is unacceptable. And if you do this crap, don't come home. Don't call me. Because I would have done everything I could for my daughters within reason. Raised them right, good values, all that. And they pulled this crap when they didn't need the money. Goodbye. You're done. And a lot of people have always called me on that. Like, no, SSM. If you were a parent, you don't understand because you're not a parent. Bullshit. I know myself. They would be done. Anyhow, she says, I felt so bad. I felt sad, angry, confused, hurt, any negative feeling you can imagine. I had troubles in the past with alcohol, drugs, and other illegal stuff because of my mental health issues. Very likely a combination of ADHD and autism, which I discussed with her just 1 to 2 weeks prior with her, and that she's kind of dismissed. And all that did not want her to make contact with me, or to cut contact with me. But sex work, a perfectly fine and legal line of work, that would want her to cut all contact with me. In other words, she's saying, well, Mom will cut me off because I want to do sex work and but she didn't want to cut me loose because I think I had autism or ADHD or had some problems with drinking. Well, a good parent, if their kids generally had a mental health problems, would support their kids and be there for them and get them help. Duh. But she's being, in my opinion, a great mom laying down the law. You need to keep this crap up. We're done. Now going into the instead of deleting it part, there are a few reasons I did not delete my OnlyFans. Here we are to the good stuff. She says, first, I still had a few $100s on there that I had already earned and did not want to lose. Reason number one, being it's money and capitalism is well not great. And two, why would you want to lose money you already have? Three, very stupidly, I booked tickets for a board game event. I'm a big nerd here. That would cost me about £900. And I thought, with how OnlyFans is going, I can earn that amount of money. So the first thing she takes her OnlyFans money for, that she's risked losing it all for, her family, her being cut off financially, is to go to a board game event, a £900 board game event. I don't know what a £900 is in US dollars, but I'm sure it's well over $1,000 US dollars to play some board games. She couldn't just invite her friends over and they can bring, freaking Candyland and the Game of Life and Checkers and Connect Four or whatever. They can't do that. Save herself £900 here. Secondly, I was gaining body confidence from OnlyFans. Here we go. I am a bit bigger. That's putting it mildly, sweetheart. I would say between chubby and BBW, and had never seen this much body positivity for my body type since I started on OnlyFans. It was making me feel good in a way I'd never felt. Well, that's very nice you're feeling better about yourself, okay, but I'm sure there's other ways you could have done things to make yourself feel better about yourself, instead of getting butt naked on there and having people pay you for that, and that is up there forever. And it's not like she's just posting this stuff on OnlyFans, a closed, service. People can take snapshots of that on their phone and share it, but she's also advertising herself on Reddit, which anybody can go on and see, which sadly I saw, and holy crap. I think my eyesight, my vision's a little screwed up, and permanently will be after seeing her stretching her parts in front of the camera. My whole life, my mum put me on diets and different types of sports starting at a very young age. Diet-wise, it started with children's diets, which is already effed up to begin with. Since I can remember, and since the age of 4, I would be cutting calories to a dangerous extent, denying the things I wanted to eat, etc. I can remember a whole lot, so I'm going to assume that diet started at that age, but I might be wrong. Are we supposed to believe that she remembered at 4 years old, her mom, counting calories and all that? Probably her mom just said, no, honey, we're not going to McDonald's every day, in her British accent. But mom's a big villain for making sure she didn't get her Happy Meals every day. If she was a chubby child, mom was trying to help. Again, I was only a child. See? For sports, I believe it started with doing ballet when I was 4, even though I never even expressed interest in ballet as far as my memory serves. Oh, poor you. Mom put you in the tutu to do ballet. Okay, you didn't like it. Obviously, you didn't continue on doing ballet. That's what parents do. They expose their kids to different things. Some soccer or some cricket if you're over there in the UK, they play soccer in the UK, football. Or this or that, to give kids to see what they like. Going back to her saying that she would disown me. Honestly, if it wasn't for her financial help, I would have said, sure, okay, you have hurt me so many times already, I'm feeling okay about you cutting all contact with me. Just to make sure my dad feels okay about all this, because I'm pretty sure he would not be okay about it. Yes, he may be paying for my therapy, but have you possibly considered you are the reason I need therapy? Oh, blame it all on mom, huh? That was a lot, but one thing I mentioned that is incredibly important in this is her financial help. I'm 23 years old, living in London, the big capital of the big UK. Yeah, sure, the UK is a shithole right now. Well, that's what I hear. And still doesn't change how expensive it is. Currently, she's paying for so much in my life, which I'm incredibly thankful for, especially considering her physical health, which I'm not going to for privacy reasons. Hear that? She's 23 years old. Mom has been paying for a lot of things, and she shows her thanks to mom and dad by doing things she knows absolutely they would be disgusted with, and now is making a big fuss like they're the big bad guys here. A long story short, she says long story short a lot. We can turn this into a drinking game. Every time she says long story short, somebody could do a shot, but please don't. Long story short, it makes life unrealistic and you feel incredibly unprepared. Anyways, the financial aspect. Currently, my parents are paying for multiple expenses in my life. My rent of my apartment, which is over £1,000 a month. My studies, which is over £9,250 a year. And an extra £700 a month so I can buy food, etc. I'm sure she spends a lot more on, this is all her Happy Meals that she didn't get as a kid. And they're also paying for my therapy, which is £125 per session. Long story short, they pay a lot of money. It's a lot of privilege, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Bitch, you don't sound grateful to me. You're just trashing your parents left and right, particularly your mother. How horrible she was when you were little because she put you on a diet, which probably meant not as many Happy Meals as you wanted, and she had you do ballet. And they're doing all this for you, and they're the bad guys here, and you're going to risk all that, because you can feel better about yourself, displaying your big booty on, very big booty on Instagram and OnlyFans, Reddit and OnlyFans. No respect, no appreciation. But as I said before, it wasn't for financial reasons. If it wasn't for financial reasons, I would have cut contact with them, but all those are reasons why I did not. So I was just using them for the money, nothing more. When I was on the phone with my mum, I said something along the lines of, "So you willingly want me to make me homeless and suffer in life over this?" Okay, drama queen. No, girl, you're going to make yourself homeless if you disrespect your mother and she cuts you off. And she says, my mother was willing to make me homeless over sex work. She was willing to put me through a life of suffering and emotional damage over something very much legal. That caused so much pain in me, knowing that someone would willingly put you through pain to the point that your whole life would go through suffering. Honestly, what the fuck? Pain. Your mom is paying for everything for you. All she asks is some respect here. And she's pretty much saying, okay, if you want to pay for yourself, you can do everything you want, but we're not going to pay for you anymore. That's called tough love. And also, we're cutting you off. But, oh, woe is me. Am I ready to go into much pain? Am I ready to go into how much pain that caused? No, sorry. Long story short, here we go with that again. I used to be sober. I'm not anymore, so you might be able to imagine the pain. Either way, long story short, my parents wanted to make me homeless over OnlyFans. Talk about blowing things out of proportion. They drew a line in the sand, and you knew they'd be against this. She didn't care. Woe is me, world's tiniest violin. I've had mental issues before, but somehow the South somehow tops it all. They seem them wanting to make me homeless. The fact is, I'm so unloved. Boo-hoo. I felt unloved my whole life, but somehow never this unloved. But somehow my parents are the reason. Right. It's the parents' fault for everything that's wrong with her. Not her fault, not her actions. She's very overweight. That's on her. She could take action and improve herself. She's not. She wants to go on OnlyFans, so some of the guys that like really, really, really big women can make her feel better about her bad choices here. She's going to have major health problems later on in life. And now it's her parents are the big bad guys for, all these things. How the hell do you deal with all this? Wanting to continue OnlyFans because the body positivity, there's nothing positive about her body. Because it makes you feel loved. But at the same time, having to threaten your parents over you, making you feel incredibly in love, generally, what the fuck? So there you go, guys. There is an example of the times and the youth, not all the youth, but a lot that attitude out there, and the young gals. Her parents have every right to do this, and I applaud her parents. She's lucky they're giving her a chance. But they're spending all this money on her every year for her to live in London, to go to school and all that, and this is how she thanks them. It would be one thing if she had nothing. I mean, nothing. No family, no money, no income, nothing. It was a terrible economy, and was desperate to survive. This was the only way. Then that's one thing. It's not the best choice, of course, but she is taken care of. She's going to school they were helping her to, go to school, get a degree in something that she can get a job in, take care of herself. But this is what she's doing there. And it's not like she's taking the money and using it to build wealth, investing it. She's merely pissing it away on a 900-pound board game event. Again, she could just invite her friends over to play fucking Twister. No, I don't want to see her play Twister. Candyland or chess or Game of Life or Operation. I'm thinking all the fucking 80s games here. We get the point. No, she's pissing away on bullshit. And she's the big bad guy. Her parents are the bad guy? No. Good for the parents. So all you parents out there watching this right now, for God's sakes, you got little kids or teenagers, make them aware that this type of shit ain't gonna fly with you, because if you don't, they may end up doing this. And if they pull this shit, well, you got every right to handle it the way you want to. And if giving them one shot to cut that shit out before disowning them. But remember, All it takes is one picture. One picture posted on Reddit or Instagram of body parts, and that is all it takes to screw up job prospects in the future, relationships, all that. But these young people, particularly these young girls, that feedback, that attention validation they get is such a drug, the dopamine effect. They don't think about that. And I don't want to use the whole addiction to the dopamine effect and the attention as an excuse they can have. It's a terrible idea. So parents out there, you got to talk to your kids about this crap. Otherwise, next thing you know, dads, your daughter is either on the pole or she's, you're going to get links from your buddies about your daughter on freaking Reddit or OnlyFans or whatever. So be aware. Anyhow, too bad. There weren't any updates from her. So clearly, by the way, the last time there were anything on what do you call it, Reddit, post of her parts, if you will, was 2 years ago, because that's when this article, this story came about. So clearly, I guess she stopped. Who knows? We'll see. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let us think about this. And guys, you have a good story that you have yourself or one that you found, send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.